Hey everybody, it's Donna Hetzler with New Dawn Realty, and we're here for What's Up Wednesday. It's Wednesday again. Woo! So glad to have Brian back. Like, we missed you last week, dude. We so missed you. We were
Last
on
couple
site.
weeks.
Yeah, we were on site at Lennar in Elizabeth, and so Brian couldn't come with us, but we missed all your wisdom and guidance. So I'm so glad that you're back with us.
Glad to be back.
Yay, so happy to have you. And of course, our team, Janessa and Denise, and we've got all sorts of fun little tidbits for you today. And you know, the market is crazy busy. Our inventory's low. I know we've been teaching you that and telling you that over and over. So we wanted to give you something a little bit different today, just a little information. And it started with a discussion on Janessa's latest sale, which was in Granby, right? So tell us about what you sold in Granby.
So super cool. It is a resort in Granby. I guess the mayor of Granby is really trying to make Granby more of a destination than just a pass through. So there's this huge resort up there called River Run Resort. They have RV sites. They're getting ready to build yurts that you can rent out. They have these, they call them like glamping. They're covered wagons. So they're covered wagons with like a bed in them and even an air conditioning unit. And then so you still have to use their like, you know, public camping, like shower and restroom, which it's a new resort. So it's really nice. But yeah, you can stay in like a nice luxury covered wagon.
Do you get the sound effects too? Like the...
I don't know. I didn't get to go in one. I should have asked, but they looked really cool from the outside. I kind of they have a paddle board and kayak pond on the resort. They have a separate fishing pond on the resort. They have little manufactured tiny homes that you can rent. But then they also have manufactured homes that you can buy. And as like a little vacation home. Some people are buying them to be their permanent residence as well. So how it works is they have, I believe, I might butcher this, 3 or 4 different models that you can choose from. You buy the home, you lease the land, and it's included, you have like basically an HOA fee that includes your monthly like rent of the land and then all the facilities. So as far as the facilities that are that the residents can access, there is a swimming pool, there is a like restaurant and bar area with an arcade and a like kids bowling alley, so it's like the little bowling balls.
Oh, cute.
Bowling alley. They have one of those like big jumping pillows. Oh, for the kids, playground, basketball courts, volleyball courts. Geez, what else? This place is packed. So anyway, really awesome.
Yeah, give us an idea of like that, how much the HOA and leased land is, and like pricing of.
Yeah, so the HOA right now is $850 a month, and like I said, that includes all the amenities and includes your rent for the leased land. And then the houses range anywhere. There's a couple on the lower end of like that start at $239, which is just a couple of those because the models are a little different than the model they decided to run with, which means that the later models have an island in the kitchen. And those previous couple of models that they just built a couple of them that are the lower end price. They just don't have the island, so there's a bigger room for like a dining room table or whatever. And then they go up to, I think, trying to remember, he bought one of the middle ones, but I think $295 is the upper. So you're still under $300, depending on the unit. There's different, you know, bedrooms. I think they go up to 3-bedroom. So anyway, really cool resort. And actually the cool thing about this resort, it's owned by Sun Communities, who builds these resorts around the nation. For those of you who drive on I-25, they're building one of the resorts on I-25, off I-25 in Larkspur. So
I think that's what they're doing there. Oh my goodness.
It's the same exact concept, same builder, same everything.
Is that the Yogi Bear area, or what's that
Yes.
called?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
That was at KOA campground, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's going to be another one of those like big resorts to bring a lot of people in, options to buy, option to stay, option to rent, all that kind of stuff. So super interesting. It was really cool to get up there and see it and close on his property. I know he's going to get a ton of use out of it. He has grandkids and a big family, and so I know that they're going to get a ton of use out of it. Oh, and then they manage short-term rentals. So they aren't big winter people. They love the summer, but they won't really be up there in the winter. So in the winter, the actual resort there manages the short-term rentals. You have to give them, I think, you set the rent price, you give them 25% of the rent, but they take care of all the housekeeping and everything. Right. So you don't have to hire like a cleaner or anything. They take care of all that. They manage it all for the dates that you want them to manage it. And then other than that, you get to use it. So those that like want to go skiing at Winter Park can rent out his little unit for, short term or whatever. And the resort manages it all, so he doesn't really have to worry about it.
That's cool. And those resorts, they do appreciate, because there's one, and I don't know if it's the same builder, but there's Tiger Run and Breckenridge. And I remember looking at those little manufactured homes on a little lot that they're leasing and stuff in Tiger Run, back 15 years ago when we'd go up there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 200,000 like for this. And now it's like you go there and they're like 500,000, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely, you'll make some money. And what a great entry level to get into something, in those twos, somebody who wants a mountain property.
Yeah.
But I'm interested, we've had a lot of conversations, you and I, with this contract. Brian, tell us the difference about, a manufactured home versus a modular and kind of the lending side of that.
Well, in a nutshell, to kind of make it more, we'll just use more of a layman terms kind of thing. Manufactured basically means trailer. So it is manufactured obviously in a factory, but obviously it's a trailer. So it's all, it's pretty much all metal. Versus a modular home that is also built in a factory, but it's stick built. So it's stick built like a house that's on site, except it might be done in pieces. The old school modulars were basically, almost two pieces. You'd have one half, and you'd see it square on one side with the angle on the other going down, and then same with the other one, and then they just put the two pieces together. They have modular homes now that come in, it could be 6 pieces, and you perfectly square on one, and then a second level, and even a third level. I've seen them, actually, if you've watched them on HGTV or some of those shows where they've done them and built them like on beaches and such. So, the foundation gets poured and then those get built. That's the difference between a manufactured and a modular. The other thing I think we were talking about earlier is how can you tell? Because sometimes I've had people say, well, I just don't know. It doesn't look like a trailer. And you can actually have, there's a tag that's inside, typically by the water heater. They're either referred to as a HUD tag, a HUD label, and I've also looked up now, it's called a construction code label. And they've been putting these on manufactured homes since 1976. And if it is truly a manufactured home, that HUD tag will be red or silver.
Oh, very cool. So you can look for the tag. And interestingly, I was saying, Janessa and I had some conversations about her, closing package and the paperwork and making sure our file's in order. And we talked about there's no title policy. So no title commitment. It's literally, you don't get, a deed from the title company. You go down to the DMV to register for your title, just like a car with those manufactured homes. So a little bit different, but you helped your buyer walk through those stages and explain, and a little bit different than our normal closing, but it was a fun sale for you. So that was really cool.
Learned a lot.
Yes, and what a great community too. Yeah. And Denise, I have to say, I so enjoyed your birthday gift last Wednesday. If you did not see last Wednesday's video on our What's Up Wednesday, go back and look. Denise celebrated her 55th double nickels birthday, and she had asked her family for something very special, and she went outside and found it with a bow on it, right? And so she's got video of that surprise for her birthday. Have you been able to drive it around?
Of course. I drive it all over.
Why don't you explain so everybody knows, and then they can go back and watch the video.
I asked for a 55 Chevy. I preferred red because that's my favorite color. And I took you out to the driveway, and there it was, a 55 Chevy with a blue bow. But it's a model. It's a model.
It was a little tiny something.
Yeah, we drive it on the carpet.
Love it.
I just wanted to tell everybody to remind you that this coming up, is it this weekend? No, next weekend.
Next weekend.
4th of July is coming up, and we need to celebrate our independence. And I have a quote from Bob Dylan. I think of a hero as someone who understands the degree of responsibility that comes with his freedom. And that, again, is by Bob Dylan. And I just wanted to share with you that that is probably the best freedom that you could have by owning your own home. It's an investment, probably one of the biggest you'll ever invest in. And it brings you a lot of freedom. You can pick your own colors. You can do whatever you want to the yard. I mean, it's a great thing. I've talked to a few people that live in an apartment, and they're thinking about purchasing just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way,
and make a lot of money when you're
Yeah.
best in real estate.
Right.
What better way to be like independent, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
awesome advice, Denise.
and for anyone that's looking to list, I know it's getting repetitive, but please contact us. We need more people to sell their homes. We don't have enough on the market. Please call us.
Yes, we are
Lots
so
of buyers.
sorry. Yes,
Your house.
yes, if we got buyers too.
We have lots of buyers.
Awesome. That's good. And we'll remind everybody next week as we approach the 4th of July, and just be grateful for our freedom here in our country, and just so proud to be an American and to live in this great country. So salute to that. Brian, what's going on in the financing world? I know we were just on our big office meeting with Metro Brokers Elite. You quoted some rates, and I think my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
So tell us, and then you're going to share some info, screen share with us too.
I know. Yeah, we did talk about sharing the bond market just to kind of show you the differences of a healthy market versus, how something crazy with this global pandemic and what it can do to our own market. And then when things smooth out, how they can go too. I can kind of go over a little bit as far as, let's kind of talk about how healthy the market is right now. Purchase applications are up 18% from this time last year, which is great, but obviously that's with our inventory issues here in Denver. That's still going to create multiple offer situation, but when the right one comes along, it'll be there for the buyers. It always says what's meant to be is meant to be. With this momentum picking up, it's really good. 620 scores are back. Remember we talked about the credit scores before going? 620 scores are back even on the bond programs, which is great. So for those that have a little bit of maybe blemishes on there, and we can make those work now too. Talking about the medium home prices are up 4.9%, which is great. That's an average on a national level. Rates are a full greater than 1% lower than they were at this time last year. So money's a little bit less expensive. There's that jaw drop, which is great. So we're still kind of floating and checking out the market with, not necessarily locking in right now because they may dip down even a little bit more. Those would be the people that are typically under contract right now, to say, hey, just don't pull the trigger quite yet, because you know what, maybe you squeeze out another eighth. Well, another eighth is always good to have. So let's, I think I just got to hit the screen share button, right? Yep. Here's what I wanted to share with everybody. I'm going to move this over here. Here was the market before COVID. Okay, maybe I can slide this down a little bit so you can see the dates. There we go. There's March 3rd right there. As you can see this from February 18th, bonds were moving up at a steady level. And as bonds move up, rates trick downward. Well, you guys, this whole section right here is COVID.
Oh my goodness.
And you can see these huge drops, huge rises, huge drops, big. This was the 1 day thing I was talking about right here, where it actually finished in this little candlestick, this middle part, this thick part of the candlestick. But at one point, yep, see, at one point it was down this much, had come all the way back. Then it went up this high to where this little arrow is, and then closed by the end of the day here. That kind of movement is unheard of. Never seen anything like it in 20 years. It's actually crazy. These little ones right here, this is what I'm talking about. Like right here, this little movement, this was 1 day. This would have been considered a huge day right here. These are a little bit more typical, these little candlesticks like this. So these big ones, we didn't know what was going to happen. But then all of a sudden we start getting these rebounds. And this is when rates were kind of hitting historical lows, even right here. Yeah. So the price of bonds even got better, but the rates haven't necessarily reflected it that way. And that's all up to the investors and how they do their pricing on these mortgage-backed securities that they pass along to all of us that when they set their interest rates for us. So, but this right here is kind of one I wanted to touch on. Here it is from April 16th to current. And really, if you were to graph a line from kind of the high to the low right here, it'd be kind of in this middle point right here and going all the way across. It really hasn't moved.
Wow.
And so that's not seeing the big erratic movements. It means it's still going to be a good time, which means we're not going to have a lot of huge movements with rates, and with the buyers that want to get out there and buy, they're not going to have to worry so much about locking in immediately, and a good originator is going to be able to watch that form on a daily basis to advise them on when the most opportune time is to hit that lock button and maybe squeeze out an extra eighth or an extra quarter at this point with what's going on. How much lower they can really go, I don't know. I mean, they are really, really at historical lows right now. So
yes,
great time to buy and very inexpensive money.
Yeah.
I had a buyer talking about being locked at 2.99%. And they could have gotten 2.8, and they were disappointed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My first house was 7.5% interest. Like, seriously.
That's crazy. I guess talking to individuals, maybe we're wasting time on that, but just a quick story was, and this will go to your jaw dropping. There was a closing, I think a couple weeks ago I had, and it was a VA, but it was a high balance VA. So, it was like a $600,000 loan, 30-year fix, locked them in at 2.75.
Wow.
With a lender credit. And I guess they told me that, the closer of the title company's jaw dropped when she was going over the note and saw the rate.
Yeah. Wow. See, that's another good reason to work with Brian. You can just hold him by the ankles and shake out of his pockets and get everything out. Lender credit, good rates, all that stuff.
And it changed like 2 weeks after that. Then I was looking back for somebody else. I'm like, what the heck happened to these coupons? Where did they go?
Oh my gosh. Well, the other thing I love about you too is you do a lot of pretty much paperless closings. You want to talk about that really quick before we wrap up? And Janessa says that's a wrap. Like,
okay,
cut those off on time.
Yeah, we have, what we're doing right now is we're referring to it as a slim close. So when you know how thick these packages are, like that, probably an inch thick, especially with the real estate side and the mortgage side. Mm-hmm. The closing package can now go out really the morning of closing. And when I say the morning, it goes out like really early, like 4 o'clock in the morning. That way the buyers can sign about 80% of their package. And so when they show to closing, instead of being there for an hour, just the hour on the lending side, typically I'd say 45 minutes to an hour, but depending upon how many questions they have, really they can spend 15 minutes just on the loan side. And we all know that the real estate side's always also like 15 minutes. So now instead of being there an hour and a half, you've kind of cut it down to about a half an hour. And I'd say, especially with having to wear masks and all that other stuff, not having that on your face, and then being able to get out of that closing room and back outside and take your mask off, get some fresh air.
Right.
That's a welcome thing to have.
Yeah, breathe a little bit. Like, I just bought a house.
Yeah, right, right.
And when you said slim closing, I'm like, could I make a slim closing with this COVID and all this extra weight? Like, what?
Right.
We're talking about the actual package you sign. Okay.
Yep, it's a slim. Yep. So
closing. Okay, good. All right, Denise, do you have a question for us, for our viewers to participate this week?
Yeah, I just want everybody to think about who is their hero, who can you list as your hero, as that quote from Bob Dylan?
Oh, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to comment, share, engage. Let us know how we can help you. Let us know if you have any questions that you want us to cover in next week's edition. And we will see you next week for our What's Up Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great week.